So, I want to make a podcast and I have to figure out a niche. How do I do that? Don't laugh, yeah. I have to figure out it. See, I really want to make a podcast. I have made a logo, I've made a background.
You have to figure it out before doing these things.
It is done, it is in the past. Now I have to figure out. This is the first step.
You figure out based on whatever podcast you've already listened, your interest.
I have not listened to podcasts.
You have. You've listened to motoring. You're giving them free promotion.
True, true. Okay, we will remove that from the post production.
Blur the
We will blur the
Audio.
frequencies of motoring so that it doesn't show up in the podcast. Okay.
beep it.
Which is good. Yeah. So one thing that I have learned or I have seen is they have told to focus on either your expertise or do it in the form of an interview while finding a niche. Now I am not an expert in anything as such.
You can have people who are experts on things and interview them. If you make it like explain it like I'm five, sort of an interview where you bring someone and they explain things, you ask them questions, and in turn the audience learns from it that way. If you don't enjoy being getting less attention out of it and you want to be the star of the show, then you
That's
just talk random things you see every week, things that interest you, your hobby, your books, things you learnt that week.
can actually do that. We can have a what did I learn this week? But will people watch it? That is the thing. See, there are a ton of podcasts, there are a ton of videos about people teaching others, people talking about their experiences. Do I want to be another drop in the ocean?
And that depends on why you started the podcast. If your goal is to only reach numbers, like hit numbers,
My goal
then
is
you
to
have to be strategic with what you are putting out there. If your goal is to be happy with people listening to your content or you derive happiness out of speaking your mind, then it shouldn't matter to you. Otherwise, you have to see if you're playing the number game, then you have to play it right. You have to have a social media account, you have to push your content so that it reaches a lot of people. It's not like you're just posting it to your friends and your colleagues. That will still limit you to the number of friends and colleagues you have. That's 100 or 150, that's it. So every week you're still limiting yourself to that number. If you want to reach more numbers, then you have to bring change to your content and you definitely have to play the social media game. It's not going to work out just like that.
so my focus here, plain and simple, is to become famous. Or that's what I thought. Okay, so but while you were talking about this, I realized that it is fine if I don't become a huge household name, but I still want to be someone who people enjoy seeing. Like a niche people is certain set of people. Even if it is 1,000, 2,000 people, and I have a loyal following, that is fine by me. At least I have a certain sense of limited popularity.
So even 1,000, 2,000 is still a stretch, right? You don't know 1,000 people in your life. So you should, I think, if you ask me if I were to start a podcast with the same intent, I would not be thinking so much about the numbers right in the beginning because I know that I've just started and I don't have expertise on the way I'm talking and my production and my content in general. So I have to have at least 10, 15. I'm keeping it a larger threshold. So maybe like 10, 15 episodes. Later, I figure out what my niche is, the way I want to curate and edit my content. And then I see the feedback I get from people, and then I sort of tailor it according to that. And then I keep posting, and it's like an improvement journey. And finally, I land on the plateau where I actually like my content and people actually like it. So, right off the beginning, I don't know how many will. It's not like that.
But then you're talking more of a video log, a journey of sorts, which is like
Not a video log. So even in podcasts, right? If you actually look at people who are doing podcasts, maybe if they're doing YouTube podcasts, they probably, you don't know that they have, how they have started. They could have removed the videos that they don't like over time once they've got the subscribers, because they want to keep an image with their new subscribers that hey, this is what I'm doing from past 10 years. So what I'm saying is just go with the flow. Right now what we are filming, I don't know how many will listen to this, but as you keep progressing, you know that this is the way I have to talk, voice modulation, all of that stuff, and you figure out even your ideas and you talk to more people, take their inputs, go ahead.
But then the one thing that I've noticed in like the couple of podcasts that I've seen is that they always follow a very structured format. And they're not doing what you're saying. They're not experimenting with things. They're not trying to figure it out as they go along.
Because they already have people, no, you're talking about people who are in general popular and who have a podcast. How many do you know who have started a podcast from the start? That's their journey of fame.
Hmm. Fair. Do you want to have your own podcast? And if so, how would you start?
फ्री में सब कुछ बता दो इधर.
This has become an interview
See,
session.
I want to start, okay, but I will not tell it here.
Why not? See,
Why?
this itself could be a podcast episode.
And nobody watches mine, then what I'll do?
See, so this is
अभी
the other
they'll be
thing.
like भाई बहन
this,
साथ में निकल गए.
this is the other thing that so I was doing some research on YouTube itself on how to get your podcast out. One of the things they mentioned was uh, you have to partner with other people who are doing podcasts, be a guest in their podcast, because that's a very good way for you to get your name out.
That's like collaboration sort of.
Correct. So you are essentially combining the audiences so that if you go into their podcast, their audiences listen to you, and it's very easy for them to just, for you to drop your podcast name and have it as a link in the description, let's say, and then for the other people to just scroll and click on that when they're already in that podcast. So what you are doing right now could just be your jumping board for your own podcast.
Oh भाई, इसको सुनने वाले 10 लोग, मुझे
You
सुनने
can
वाले
get
5.
you can get a total of 15 people listening to your podcast.
Yeah,
which
but I
is-
have not started. Like, see, okay, let me tell you my channel. My idea is I don't like, just like you, I don't have an area of expertise. I know knowledge in like different sections of different areas. So I maybe would invite people. Generally, I have observed that the conversations that we have with friends or colleagues, it's kind of interesting. You just don't have to think about it a lot, like just the conversations we're having right now. So I want to be able to do the pretty much the same thing. I don't want to impart knowledge on someone. Rather, I want it to be a podcast where people are just listening it in the background when they're doing some tasks, not very heavy on their head. Just something they're doing while they're washing dishes or writing a code, you know. So it's really nice to listen to different people, different ideas and perspectives, things like that. And maybe if the conversation leads up to a point where discussing more serious issues and you're giving your opinions about it, that is also fine. But it should just be more of like a conversation rather than knowledge impart, because that puts more pressure on me and the person who is with me. Because you have to be clean with your knowledge.
This is the way that you would make a podcast, but why do you want to make a podcast?
That is one, I mean, my primary reason is not to become famous, but it's just that I feel I have some nice ideas. I don't know, it's a very narcissistic way. Maybe I, like most people, it's like I have a lot of ideas, I want to share it out there and I want to see how it works. And also, like, maybe not maybe, but I have some friends who have told me that maybe I should start a podcast. So I'm doing it for them. I'm doing them a favor.
Which is interesting, right? Because I had the same thought whenever I get together with a bunch of friends and we are talking about stuff. Like we start off the conversation with something very mundane, and like half an hour later, 1 hour later, it has gone into the deep end and we're discussing some random thing, but it feels interesting and I am engrossed in it. And I always have a feeling that someone else might also like to be
Part
a
of
fly
it.
on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Just observing and just listening to it. Maybe to enjoy the flow of conversation. It's not scripted. It's not. It doesn't have a clean starting and end. It's very organic, but it's still an interesting conversation to follow. So yeah, I don't see that too much as a narcissistic thing. More of that I have this interesting thing that we are doing right now. Maybe there could be more people who are interested in it and they can be a part of it as well. So maybe later on, if you find more such people, you can have more such conversations.
Yeah.
So I like to go for those interesting conversations, and after a point, your conversations are going to get repetitive, even with your closest of friends, right? But if you find more people who are interested in a diverse range of topics, yeah, maybe the podcast could be a way to find those people.
Yeah, and plus it's also nice. No? So you go on a trip or any trips and you meet new people, you could record that conversation, the starting conversation you have with someone. I mean, of course, with consent, but that's also nice, right? Like you're listening to their experiences, how what they went through in life, or why they even came to that place. Even things, small things that they have interesting to share. It's really nice. So that could also be part of it. But right now, I'm realizing that you could be my competitor. Shank
We'll,
Sunday
we'll,
session.
we'll get back to that. But no, there's another thing that I realized. What we are talking about sounds more and more like a vlog again.
It's not a
So
vlog, no. So it's
I'm going ahead and recording my conversations. There are interesting conversations, no doubt.
vlog is when you do it daily, and vlog is also a video recording. So I don't. Are you doing a video recording of your conversations?
No, like I think I'll stick to audio at
It's
the
not a
max.
vlog, and you're only posting it
Maybe it's a
Sundays.
day log, audio log.
Audio log, yeah, audio log of your conversations.
Maybe I can do that. Maybe this can be.
Or if you're calling it a Sunday session, you could see that's the thing. No, you're very fixated on that. I have to pick this niche and then go with it. It's not like that. You try out a few things. Eventually, you might end up with a niche. If not, scrap the whole thing and support my project.
Well, we talked.
Just kidding.
We talked about how to start a podcast, how to build around a podcast. I mean, from a noob's perspective, of course. But yeah, this has been like some 12 minutes of conversation.
See, we can banter.
Okay, that's it for now. Bye for now.
Bye.